weather. Thanks for joining us on Weather Center Live. I'm Jen Carfagno.
And I'm Bonnie Schneider. Already this morning, severe storms firing up, and this is just the beginning of an active 4-day.
We're tracking St. Louis, and right now, St. Louis, you are concerned about hail on the south side of town, and I'll show you the radar in moments. But I want to look at the forecast. We are in this concern for thunderstorms today, tomorrow, and Thursday. So you got to have a heads up. We'll time things out for you so you know what to expect and when. For today, the red zone, which includes storms with possible hail and damaging winds all the way from parts of Kansas down into Oklahoma and right through Missouri and into Illinois. At the moment, we are tracking some storms out there from St. Louis southward into southern Illinois, and in St. Louis and down towards Carbondale in Illinois, severe thunderstorm watch has now been issued. And you can see the storm cell that we're watching. There is a warning with it now just on the west side of St. Louis, south side as well. Looking at this particular cell that has a history of golf ball size hail, and that will cause some damage. So we're certainly concerned about that. You can see in the hail tracker what we are watching. It's moving a little more to say the south of town, but it's moving into portions of southern Illinois where we will see more potentially thunderstorms fire. We could get a cluster of storms that fire later today, and we'll be concerned about that threat, and we'll have more on that, Bonnie.
At the University of Oklahoma, improvements are being made on how we track storms on radar, including a new 35,000 square foot lab to study new radar technologies. Our own Mike Bettis is now in Norman, Oklahoma at the National Storm Prediction Center. Mike, that looks very impressive where you're standing. Can you tell us all about it?
Yeah, we're watching all this getting driven by a big trough across the west. And by Thursday, that's really starting to swing out into the plains. So we see the risk for storms swing out a little further to the east. And we're going to see a surge of moisture and the risk for storms all the way as far north as northern Illinois. We're talking Chicago in that mix. Here's that jet stream, and you can see how it swings out. Big trough develops now across the central plains. The jet stream energy overhead, we've got our front, we've got our surface low, we've got that turning of the winds with height. So there is a tornado risk as we get you into the day on Thursday, into the evening. Likely to see thunderstorms persist overnight Thursday into Friday. The red zone goes from really southern Michigan all the way down into Texas. Out ahead of that front, we will see the concern for storms. There'll be, a widespread risk for hail and damaging winds, but also looking at this tornado risk. Chicago for you and surrounding areas, we've got a 4 on the Torcon. We go down here into Illinois, Missouri, and Indiana, where we've got a 3. So the risk for tornadoes continues into Thursday, and then we will watch the severe weather threat continue into Friday as well into portions of the mid-Atlantic.
Absolutely, and thunderstorms, what a day ahead. We have more severe weather on its way as communities like Louisville clean up from already down.
Right now, also tracking rain out there.
That's true. 4 days after heavy rains and flash flooding swamped Louisville, some residents remain out of their homes. A record 5.64 inches of rain fell, breaking a 7-year record.
Now, there are more than 160 water rescues, and as more rain moves in today, crews are feverishly cleaning and drying up what they can. Stephanie Abrams has that bad weather begins right now. You can see rain in Louisville, especially north of town. Now, these storms are, and there's a lot of lightning with them. They're moving through pretty quickly, though, so hopefully they don't drop that much rain at once.
That's true. They're moving at about 45 miles per hour, so that is fast. The problem is it's not over after this morning's dousing of rain. And you can see also plenty of rain working its way towards Bristol. There's the storms in St. Louis, and you mentioned the lightning as well. Looking at the rainfall for the past 7 days, Jen, it's incredible how much has just fallen just into northern Kentucky.
You know, what's interesting is there was an old stationary front here last week, remember, and that's where those storms focused and just trained right over, and we got the 5 to 8 inches of rain. Today, we've got the front a little farther to the north, but everything is lining up to keep this whole Ohio Valley area very wet over the next couple of days.
Yeah, and that term training is so interesting to mention because it really does look like over and over again, like trains over a railroad track, that the rain hit the same place. And looking at the setup for this week, the active jet stream will trigger more rain for the same area.
Yeah, you can think of that front as sort of like the highway, and the jet stream is going to keep the storms moving along and forming right over that area. So watching for more rain. I mean, this is the forecast on top of what we had, another 3 to 5 inches. And of course, we'll be concerned about flooding.
That is so true. And, it's also important to note that we're also watching for plenty of severe weather this week. And as severe storms ramp up today, that means the threat of hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes are there.
Now, as we go to break, we ask this. Would you know how to survive a tornado? Before the break, we began the conversation about ways to increase your chances of surviving a tornado.
We asked the question, would you know what to do if you saw a tornado approaching? Well, here.
In case you didn't know, a Torcon is the Tornado Conditions Index, and that means your risk of getting a tornado within a 50-mile radius of your location. So we give it a number to make it easy. The numbers range from 0 to 10. It's a scale. A 5 on the Torcon simply means a 50% chance of a tornado forming within a 50-mile radius. So it's an easy number to get an assessment of. If you have a 5, you multiply that by 10. That means your chance is 50%. We've got a lot of 50% out there, especially for Thursday. So we're keeping track of that risk and assessment. Now, all of the energy that's driving what's going to happen this week in the...
Staying with us for Weather Center Live, I'm Bonnie Schneider.
And I'm Jen Carfagno. I mean, that was amazing to see all the structure in that storm and the lightning show as well. We're going to get a chance of that here in the U.S. as we see multi-day storm threat coast coast and snow. So snowpack has been a big story when it comes to the drought, right, and how little we have had this year, well, past couple of years. Right now in the Northern Sierra, we are at 6% of average. The percentage of average keeps on going down every time they take an assessment. The Central Sierra at 6%. In fact, right around Lake Tahoe, they're only at 2% when you average it out. It's only 6% of average. And down in the Southern Sierra region as well, 5% of average. So certainly we're at the tail end of the wet season here, right? So we don't have a lot of hope for getting additional snow, but we do have some hope for getting some snow anyway, Bonnie. With the system that we're tracking in the west, at least we're going to get some snowpack out of it.
That's true. Snowpack, good for the drought and certainly good for spring skiing. But you're seeing it just working its way into Lake Tahoe. And actually, the highways in and around this area, Jen, could get a little treacherous as we go through the afternoon because of that snow. And look at all the rain coming up from Sacramento northward towards Chico. And this really animation shows you what we can expect as we time it out.
Yeah, I saw the Weather Service tweeting this morning in Sacramento that there was a lot of accidents because of this rain. We just haven't seen a lot of precip lately. But snowfall, as we watch the snowfall, this is, of course, what we've been hoping for in the West.
That's
to add
true.
up to that snowpack. It's going to be more than a foot. And, you know, especially up above 4,000 feet, really adding up.
That's true. Over 4,000 feet, you will see snow. And even below that, you may see some snow flurries. But places like I-80, just be extra careful if you can avoid travel because the snow will come down heavy and hard and the winds will pick up as well, and that could create some blowing and drifting snow. These amounts are substantial for Yosemite. Look at that, 8 to 12 inches, 5 to 8 for Sequoia. So a lot of snow when we need it, but if only we could get it every single day. As you can see in our planner for Lake Tahoe, not quite.
No, but at least we will be getting some for you today and into tonight, and then sunshine back out. So, you know, I'm sure the resorts are happy to get this. You can enjoy the new snow with some good weather after that.
That's true. Temperatures well above freezing, but at night you do get those lows into the 20s. So we are seeing still that coldness that we're looking for maybe to enjoy the spring skiing. Well, unfortunately, though, we're still talking about the threat for severe weather.
We are, and tornadoes is going to be a risk in the coming days. Tornadoes are measured using the EF scale. So we're here to make sure you know what that is and how it's calculated.
Meteorologist Mark Elliott explains how the rating